Hey guys, the Disciples here, and today we have the widely requested, which I thought was very fun, combo video for the Dragon Link Adventure thing. So, idea for those of you who are not aware of what we usually do, I'm just gonna open some hands. I'm gonna explain my thought process as I go into them. We look into the end board. We talk how we could have done the hands differently, etc., etc. It's the like the fucking fifth time that I've done this with Dragon Link, so I think you guys should be pretty used to it by now. Once again, I am sorry for the audio quality. I'm in Brazil, so we're using subpar recording equipment, but hopefully this is good enough. I tried changing the angle from last time, so it should be slightly better recording. And yeah, let's just get right into it. Alright, yeah, I just had to pause because I had some notifications on. Let's give this a good shuffle. I gave this a good shuffle already. But this is the same 52 card list that I played for the South American WCQ. I haven't touched the deck in like a week, basically. I haven't played Yu-Gi-Oh! So, probably gonna be a bit rusty, but let's see how it goes. We can just go over the thought process. So, yeah. Give this a good shuffle, give it a cut. Not a janky cut like that. And okay. So, Water Enchantress, Chaos Space, Fact Veiler, Emergency Teleport. Right, I have like a tendency of drawing absolutely broken when I open hands for this decks. Like I think this is one of the delinquents that I draw like Chaos Space like every single hand. This is kind of like that. This is right teleport Chaos Space, but it's good because I guess we get to talk about how we play the very busted hands. Okay, there are a couple things to consider here. First of them is like how to better play around draw. Then you have Ash, and then you have Nib plus Hand Trap. Because our hand is so good, we want to maximize how to beat all of those things. So let's talk about draw first. Usually against draw, the best way to do it is to start with right and start with right effect to discard. So you set up Griffin, so you can still combo under draw plus Hand Trap. So I'm gonna go over this quickly. One way that, like for example, this hand can actually beat draw plus hand trap is that if we start with right, we summon a token. I'm just gonna get Faithful, Griffin, and Draco back to the top so it saves me some hassle. Yeah, so we'll go this and we'll place Faithful, and then we go Faithful effect here, and then we would add the Griffin and discard the Enchantress, for example. Or you can even consider discard the Chaos Space. We're gonna talk about this in a bit. But save this card Enchantress, and then you get drawed. So if you get drawed here, you still get to summon Griffin. You can activate Teleport, and you can normal Veiler, and you can go into Red Rose, and you can still combo. So comboing while protected through hand traps. That's the best line to draw. If you want a hard play around draw, the play is actually to discard Chaos Space with the Faithful. So you would pitch the space and then you get drawed, but then you can special summon the enchanters, you can teleport for Gamma, and you can just make Hulk this way, and you Hulk summon Red Rose, and this with Synchro. Because basically, if you can get your Hulk, you have full combo. So that would be like the optimal line through draw. I want to go like over like the optimal line through like two hand traps, which is probably the most important thing here. Especially if you go like in a game one scenario that you probably won't get drawed. So I think I would start with right. Actually, yeah, let's start with right. If we got Ashton teleport, it's not too deep. So we summon this. We get Faithful. Then we have a decision tree here. We can either choose to special summon the Enchantress, and then add the Draco back, and then pitch the Draco back. This way it protects the teleport from Ash. But I think the argument's like if you get Ash and teleport, our hand's good enough, so we can also just start teleport anyway. So we'll teleport. We'll teleport for the Amen. It's also important that we use the Faithful triggers before we go Chaos Ruler. So we'll teleport for the Amen, and then we use the Faithful, so we get the Draco back, because I kind of don't want to discard any of the cards in my hand. And then we can go Faithful effect, discarding the Draco back, and getting the Griffin Rider. And then Dracoback equips itself. And then you special summon the Griffin Rider. Another thing you could have done, if it's a matchup that you think Mystic Mine is a card, you can discard the Water Enchantress, and you keep the Dracoback in hand, and then we're going to use the Water Enchantress as to get a Ride, and then we're going to pitch this Ride for the Foxy Tune. So that happens in matchups that Mine is relevant. I don't do it blind, but if you know it's like a 40 card deck, so you can kind of attribute to Striker, Flunder, Drytron, I would probably do it. But this is like on without previous knowledge. So I'd go Aiming, would pay 600, would get the Foxy Tune. And then we'll go Foxy Tune effect, we'll probably just pitch the Enchantress here. I want to keep the Chaos Space because I don't want to discard the Ash. So ideally we would be able to... Not the Ash, sorry, don't want to discard the Veiler because I want to keep as many interrupts in my hand as possible. So ideally I want to keep the space before using it. If we mill a Baby Dragon, we can just use the space as a Ravine discard later. So it's not too deep. So that's Summon's Deer Note. And then here's where the combo kind of goes in a less linear path. You probably want to Enchantress, add another copy of Right beforehand, just to deck 10 a bit. And then yeah, so here we go to Ruler with these two. So we'll make Chaos Ruler, and we would go Chaining 1 Ruler, Chaining 2 Foxy Tune, Chaining 2 Deer Note, targeting Aiming. So summon this, and let's mill 5. We mill Tracer, Ravine, which is kind of a shit one, Boot Sector, which is a shit one, Collapse Serpent, which I'm not glad to see, and Teleport. Okay. This is not great. We can work from it. Milling the 2 field spells is mildly annoying. Collapse Serpent's okay. We'll probably just have to add Collapse. If I had the knowledge that we would have milled Collapse, would have pitched the Chaos Space, but unfortunately we can't. This is okay though, because we have a light in the grave because of the Foxy Tune. And we can just Striker Dragon, try this bad card, borrow and revive it. So here we can go Foxy and this into Hockey Fireworks. Hockey Fireworks activates. Just summon Red Rose Dragon. Here, if we get nibbed, we're still in like a pretty good position because we haven't committed Striker Dragon yet. I mean, I know we had the Boot Sector, like we had Nip plus Entrap, but we still have the Collab, we still have the normal summon, and we still have the Chaos Ruling Grave. This is like pretty strong issue Nip plus Entrap as well. I mean, Right plus Teleport is just absurd. So you go these, and then you go this and this into Baron. I forgot you got a Baron proxy. Baron. This is Baron. Just look very hard. It looks like Baron. But this activates to get the Rock Throws, and we can go Rock Throws effect. Should get the Basil Rose Shoot. And then here, I mean, the next step is of course making the Shooting Riser Dragon with this and this. And then we'll go Riser Dump Snow. So Riser Dump Snow. Here you have a couple decisions. We can do a couple things differently. There is an argument on holding this Basil Rose Shoot because it means that we can play better around Dark Ruler, as I'm gonna show you. So if we hold this Basil Rose Shoot, so we'd go Shooting Riser into Pisty. Here, because we milled the Boot Sector, we don't have to go into Striker, so we can just go Collapse Serpent, banishing the Riser. Also because we milled Ravine, so we would, because we usually would make Romulus with Striker and Pisty, but we don't have Ravine, so it would have no point in making Rom. So we'll get this, we summon Collab, we Collab and this into Triple Burst, just because it's very good to save Striker Dragon. And then that gets us to white. Okay, so now we have this, the Basil, and this. We can Pisty effect, reborn any dragon realistically. Actually, no, yeah, because I already made rulers, so it doesn't really matter. Probably the best thing to do is just reborn the Riser just so it puts it back in the grave. And then you go this, and this into Borderland Dragon. And then we can summon the White Dragon Wyverbuster, and we can, by banishing the Colap, and we can borrow land, target the White to summon Rocket Tracer. And then we can Tracer pop the Faithful to get a Rocket Synchron. And then White and Tracer make Borrow Savage, and Savage equips the Triple Burst. You can also make IP here instead of Savage if you want. IP is better into some matchups, worse into others. IP is very cool because it gives you the others no trigger. It also, IP gives you a way to discard the Scale Space, which is going to be a draw for next turn. But I think if the combo resolves, it doesn't matter. The main thing that I wanted to highlight with this line is that when you summon Chaos Ruler here, by banishing 11 in the dark, you can make Hot Rod. This is more relevant post side, but still. So you'd make Hot Rod, and you end on this, but you also get to set the Basil instead of using it. So by setting the Basil, when they try, if they try to Dark Ruler your board, you can chain the Basil Roll Shoot, chain the Hot Rod targeting the Basil. It works against Droplets sometimes if they don't dump a spell, less often though. If we didn't want to do it this way, we could also have used the Basil as an extender, and we could have committed Veiler to also end on IP, so we'd end on all of this plus IP, because this line has not normal summoned, if I'm correct. Yeah, we have not. If we didn't mill the Romulus, it was Ravine. It was also IP without milling this. And this line was pretty safe into Nib plus Hand Trap, because they're kind of forced to Nib plus Hand Trap you when you get to the Riser board, because that dumps no. So, I mean, it was a very good hand. It wasn't the best ruler mill ever, but I think you can kind of understand like how the combo runs. A lot of the skill with this deck is when you have very good hands, deciding what you need to play around. I think, especially post side, I really like respecting Dark Ruler, because I think like if you probably establish your board and they do have hand traps, you have board breakers, so you need to respect board breakers. And yeah, Mystic Mind's another thing, so you need to be aware of the Dracoback thing. It depends matchup to matchup. Usually the way that I was doing it is 40/41 card decks are probably, I mean, they're more likely to be one of Plunder, Driver, and Striker, because decks like Adventure Punk are 45-ish cards. Sword Soul is usually 42, 43. Desp is usually 42, 43, or like slightly higher if it's going second version. So you can kind of know what your opponent's playing by the card number, and I think that changes a lot in your decision to respect or not respect Mystic Mind. But yeah, that's a very good hand. You can play that a lot of different ways though. Like if you didn't want, if you wanted to be bolder, you could have pitched the Veiler for the space and played it differently. You're not forced to go for an early Chaos Ruler. I just think that's like how I would usually play the hand. There's too many permutations to explain all of them. But main things is just, yeah, think how the hand plays through draw, think how the hand plays through Nib plus hand trap. Alright, let's do another one. This one's getting tired. If you guys enjoyed this, please subscribe to the Disciples YouTube channel. I really like doing them, and they usually are pretty popular. But yeah, like, subscribe, do the whole thing, because it helps us keep bringing this type of content. Because for some reason, people like listening to me wobbling about dragons for a couple hours. So yeah, another hand, let's go. Ravine, Ash, Italy, Racer, Ogre. Okay, it's a very different hand. You have 2 hand traps. It's a good hand going second. You have Teleport, which means a good hand, period. Ravine is kind of a shit draw. You don't really want to use this. We're probably going to keep this as like if we were hand trapped. So from a... popped up. 1 second. Yeah, so from a blanket point of view, I'll probably start Teleport. People also have the bad habit of not ashing Teleport because they're afraid of Gamma. So by going Teleport and open game state, it's more likely to resolve. Because ideally here, like if you get ashed on Foxy Tune, you'd rather have the body. So we summon Amin, we would pay 600 for the Amin, and we'll get the Foxy Tune. And then yeah, first order of business is usually going Foxy Tune effect. If this resolves, we would pitch the Ravine. If this does not resolve, we can still kind of play because we have a Tracer. So we can we have a Tracer and have a Ravine, so we can still like get your stuff. But it's very important for this hand that this Fox Tune resolves. It's resolving, probably pitch the Ravine. There's an argument to pitching a hand trap. I think your hand is just stronger if you just keep hand traps. Also, if you keep Ravine, you need to pitch another card for the Ravine. So you have to get rid of like both hand traps. So I think it's just better to play this way. We'll pitch this and we'll go into Deer Note. And then it's just struggling things. We're gonna make Chaos Ruler with fun cards. So Deer Note gets summoned. And then Deer Note and Amen makes Ruler. Shuffle this. Because the Ruler's gonna mill. So yeah, Ruler would activate, so we'd move 5, and so Ruler chaining 1, Deer Note chaining 2, targeting the Amen. So Amen back, and then let's see what it hits. So Chaos Space, good hit. Water Enchantress, very good hit. Rock Throws, kinda shit. Nib, and Quick Launch. I mean, it's a very, very, very good hit, because you hit Chaos Space Enchantress and a good card. There's a couple things you can argue here. You could getting Nib plays better around board breakers and 2 hand traps. Getting Rock Throws means your end board is better. Because we're gonna summon red rolls, we're gonna summon this from hand with red rolls. I think that because I already have 2 hand traps, because I already have Ash Ogre, I would be greedy and I'll take Rock Throws. Just because our hand's like that good. So I'll take Rock Throws, Tree Grave. It really looks like I'm stacking when I do these videos, because every time Chaos Ruler just moves insane and the things just go the right way. But yeah. We'll go activate the Water Enchantress to get the Remissar. And then we would probably activate the right. Summon the token and get the Faithful. Okay. And then I'll go Hulk here. So a lot of the times you want to make Griffin before you make Hulk, but in this hand specifically, if you get nibbed, you're like in such a good position still because you didn't commit your normal summon. You're gonna have the Ruler engraved and you're gonna have a Faithful Head still. So I think it's fine. So we'll go Hulk Shilling 1, Faithful Shilling 2. This is very good against people that hold Gamma. Because sometimes people like holding Gamma for Hulk. Especially against Punk Synchro, but this habits kinda go into this other matchup as well. We'll get that, and we'll get Red Rose. And then we Faithful Effect. Especially because I don't want to pitch anything in my hand, so we go Faithful. We get the Griffin Rider. And we'll discard the Draco back. We'll Draco back equip. We'll special summon the Griffin Rider. And then Griffin Rider and Red Rose make Baron. This is Baron. This is Baron. Make Baron and Chainlink 1. Actually, just Red Rose is the only thing that triggers. The Red Rose summons the Rock Rose gets us the Bezo. Here, I'm gonna try to do the same thing and hold this Bezo to play around Dark Ruler because we're in such a good position. Although I don't know how doable it is. Actually, it should be okay. So yeah, Rock Rose and Token. Go into Riser. This is the line that this deck like really goes into at the end of the day. This is what you want to do when you can. So Riser dumps the his no. So this is a level 3 now. I guess the other arguments that like we don't even have to keep the Bezo, because if they have Dark Ruler, we're gonna have Ash Ogre and Snow. So we can probably just use the Bezo to try to end on a better end board. So yeah, that's what I want to do. We have one less monster compared to last time because we don't have the Baby Dragon, but we can still end on enough. Hopefully. I'm just thinking here. So yeah, Riser probably goes into Striker, and then Striker Dragon's going to get us Pisty. No, that's Put Sector. I'm fine. And then we haven't normal summoned yet, right? Because we just teleported. So we can use the Tracer just as a normal summon here. Or we can use the Bezo. I guess it's technically better to just use the Bezo. So Bezo for the one of the Rose Dragons. We would make Pisty. We did pitch Ravine in this hand, which is also annoying because we can't make Romulus to access it now. But yeah, I'll get this, and then we so I haven't Tracer effect. Like What did you think? I guess you. Actually, sorry, no, I'm not gonna use base. I'm just gonna normal summon trace. We're gonna see why in a second. Because then we make Pisty. And then we Pisty the Tracer back. Okay. So far so good. And then we'll probably just make Romulus anyway, just to the ordering that we want to do these things in. So get the Rom. And then I got to use banish the Striker and banish the Riser for the Ruler. You can also waste Triple Burst here, but I think Romulus is worthless once we don't have the thing. I want to banish the Striker Dragon because I want to Chaos Space it back. Just because it means we have one for next turn, and I get a draw. So that gets happen. We draw one, we draw another copy of Tracer. And then here we won't make Hot Rod, so we go this, this, and this into Orland. And then we can activate Bazo, target, just Bazo, it doesn't target. And then we chain Tracer, target Bazo. This means that we get to keep the boot sector and keep the Faithful as follow-up, which is nice. So yeah, we'll do this and this, and then we get the Rose Dragon back. And then you can make the Tracer and the Recharger into the Savage. Savage would equip the Romulus. Oh, I banished those for some reason. This is the Rom. And then you Borderland target the Red Rose Dragon, summon one of the rockets back, and this to make IP. So we pass on Borderland, Baron, Savage, IP with Snow Engrave, Ash and Ogre in hand, and this is choose no triggers because we get choose no once, IP into Unicorn and Snow again. This is also cool because we ended with Faithful in the field, so it's another follow-up for next turn, and we ended with Striker in the extra deck. So next turn, if everything gets cleared, you get to just summon Recharger and summon one of the guys back, and you have a lot of pressure. So yeah, this hand was like, it wasn't the best hand ever, but we had a very, very fortunate Chaos Ruler, because it basically hit like, it hit right, I guess. The only actual card that hit was right. I mean, the space was good for the draw, but the only thing that changed the end board was right, because we had to add the Rock Throws and special summons from hand. So that sounds pretty cool. I guess we can do a couple more. My voice is a bit cracking, but it should be fine. Go into third one. Okay. God, my mouse is just going crazy. I'm gonna leave it here. Okay, give it a good shuffle. Just so don't say that every single hand has emergency teleport. Alright. Chaos Space, Rock Rose, Gamma, Quick Launch, Enchantress. Hey, it sounds good again. It's a non-teleport hand, so I got to do some dragoning things. First thing that definitely do when you look at this hand is that you just start with. We would start with Enchantress, because this checks for Ash, this checks for draw. If either happen, you have Gamma and you win the game on the spot. So this happens, right? Let's assume we don't get hit by that. So that should get right. And then we would use our Emissary, summon the token, and get Faithful. That gets Faithful eventually. Yep, Faithful it is. I want to keep the Rock Throws because it's important for the... Because if we want to keep the... Because we might want to summon the Rock Throws from hand with the Red Rose. Actually, I'm doing this on the fly, but I think we can actually pitch this Rock Throws. I'm actually going to try it. I haven't done this before, but I think it should work. if my mental math is right. Because we miss a summon, but then we pissed it back, and we save the quick launch, so it should still work. And it's less bad, it should double hand trap. So would space pitch the Gamma, summon the Collapse Serpent. Collapse Serpent banished to summon. That gets us the Faithful trigger, which has the Draco back. We pitch the Draco back to summon the Griffin. Okay, so far so good. We can normal summon the Rock Troll Dragon, not use the effect because we're under the Brave lock. I want to keep the quick launch if we get nibbed. If we got nib plus Hunter. We would go into Hulk Fibrax, we would trigger both effects, so we get the... I'd still probably summon... Red Rose. And then we get a white. And then we get to go Red Rose into Striker Dragon. Striker Dragon gets the Wood Sector launch. And then we banish the Collapse Serpent for the white, and we use the Chaos Space and the Collapse Serpent. Here, we gotta draw. So we draw a right, which is dead, which is okay. We'll go Weave Buster into Guard Dragon Pisty. Use the Weave Buster effect to get a Collapse Serpent. And then here's where we're gonna do things slightly different. I wanna go Pisty effect, summoning the Rock Troll Dragon, and then this means that we can trigger this Rock Troll. That gets us to Bezo. We're basically doing things on a slightly different order, but it still kind of works. So that gets us to Bezo Roll Shoot. It's also better into, like, again, 2 hand traps. I think when you're playing this deck, the main skill is like not losing to nib plus hand trap. I'm trying to keep my quick launches, keep my things, so I can instead of doing the most optimal way, optimal in theory, I mean, that would give you more resources, doing the things in orders that makes you less punished by double hand trap. So to get that, and then you can go Tracker and Pisty into Romulus, which will finally use its effect. Actually, technically, it's better to go Red Rose and... No, it's not. This should go first. Into Romulus, and Romulus gets the Ravine, which we're actually going to use in this hand. So we got Ravine. And then we go Griffin Rider and Rock Trolls, now into Baron, because we're not Dark Locked yet. So we make the Baron, and we use the Roll Shoot, and this to make Riser. And then Riser would activate to dump the Fire Tails now. Okay. So far so good. So basically what we have now, we have a quick launch that we have not used yet. We have a Ravine that we have not used yet. And we have enough materials for Borderland on the field, because these are the Borderland basically. Yeah. Ordering wise, couple ways to do it. Quick launch, quick launch makes ruler, because we want to make ruler and we want to end on IP as well. So we have like 4 summons left, because that means that and that and that. So that's Bracer, ruler. Okay. I don't actually think usually there's a good reason to start with to make Borderland before you make Chaos Ruler. Especially if you've been through Striker Dragon, because then you can't recharge your back. So I usually just keep the monster like this, and I'll go Quick Launch first. So Quick Launch for the Tracer. And then we would... There is an argument here again. One of the things that you can argue is that you would like to use Ravine first, so you'd Ravine pitch this, and you would pop the Ravine because it's more efficient because it keeps the It keeps the faithful on the field, but by doing that, you reduce the things your ruler can hit. I think you probably would just pop the faithful anyway, and summon the recharger here, because it just means we have ruler knowledge before we ravine, so we can do a better ruler. So we do this, and then we do this and this into chaotic ruler. Ruler activates. So move 5, so we get a Foxy Tune, a Veiler, a Nib, a Foolish, and a Veiler. Get Veiler or Nib, whichever one is better in the matchup. I'll just say Veiler. But depends on the matchup. Okay, so now the weird part is we probably will need to ravine. How many summons do we have left? Yeah, we have enough. Yeah. I don't know if I like how I played this, but oh well. We can go. Could have added Foxy. Would Foxy get us anywhere? Foxy would get us an extra monster. No, not in the order we made. So it would go this, this, and this into Borderland. And then you can ravine pitch the Cola for the right, probably the right in this hand. And Absol Alter effect would activate to get. It's Rocket Synchron or Tracer, depending on if you want to end on Hot Rod or Savage. Let's say you want to end on Hot Rod, so that's Synchron. And then you would Boot Sector Summon, and then Chaos Ruler. Chaos Ruler would summon itself back by banishing Light in the Dark. And then this would get banished, this Bush Grave would make Hot Rod. And then you Borderland target the Riser, summon whatever back, and make IP with those two. And then you have this Baron, Hot Rod, IP, Borderland, the Veiler we mailed, and there's no engrave, which is to charge us no. The other ordering that you can do this hand in, which is keeping the Red Rose in hand and using the Quick Launch as a way to make Hulk with the Chaos Space. If you do it that way, I'm pretty sure you end on one extra interrupt, but that line is very bad if you get Nib plus Hand Trap, because then if you get Nib plus Hand Trap, you still end on. So if you get Nib plus Hand Trap, you have the issue that you only have Rock Rose in hand, and Rock Rose doesn't do anything. Because I mean, you could go to Striker and Boot for it, but like the other line was better into Nib plus Hand Trap, because you'd still have the boot in hand. You just quick launch for it, quick launch pop here, make ruler, and you still have boot. So if you hit a rocket, you can boot some of the rocket and keep playing. It's slightly worse end board, but I think like if you get to this, you win anyway. So it's more important to be safe than to exactly end on the highest amount of resources ever. But yeah, this hand was pretty cool. It shows a bit of ordering, which I think is a cool concept. Let's do one more in 33 minutes. Yeah, let's time for one more. I am tired because I just talk non-stop to the camera while I record those, so it's a bit like mind-numbing. Do another shuffle, another hand. Okay. Enchantress Gamma, Fateful Basil, and Rocket Synchron. This hand is uglier, but I guess it does get the job done. It's the Hulk line, basically. So we'll probably start with Faithful, and we'll go Faithful Effect, we'll dump the Enchantress, and we'll get the Griffin Rider. Actually, no, we're one monster short for the Hulk line. This is kind of awkward. Can still do some stuff. Yeah, we gotta Griffin Rider. That's the first step. And then if we're hoping to God to get Drawed here or Ashton as Enchantress, because it means that we get to Gamma and our hand's like infinitely better. But assuming it doesn't happen, we get a write. So we can activate write. Summon this. And we special summon the Griffin Rider. Normal summon the Rocket Synchron that I just dropped on the floor. Normal summon the Rocket Synchron. So hence this now. God, this camera work. There we go. And then you can choose to either go Synchron and this into SAWCQ, and then we would make end Snow, or we end on Baron. If you're going to go this and this, it's better to actually search another copy of Water Enchantress, because it means we have Griffin in deck and we have a Writing Grave for next turn. Let's do it like that. Let's just search another Enchantress with the Faithful, and we go Synchron and this into this. The one thing is that if you search another Enchantress, it's somewhat less likely he would ash the Enchantress Engrave. Although I don't think it really matters. They should ash it anyway. So you go SAWCQ, we go SAWCQ Shilling 1, Faith Shilling 2. This is very good because if they're holding Ash or if they have Gamma, we can still play through it. So we would use this and summon the... We'd summon Red Rose. Yeah, this is the same thing. Because we could technically summon Rox Rose and make Right and make Riser, and then Bezo for the Rox Rose, and Rox Rose add Red Rose. So then we have that, and then 2 monsters here. If we do it this way, we basically get the same end result without wasting our summon. So this is just better. And yeah, we get you this, and we get you Draco back with Chain Blocked. So now if you Chain Block for Gamma, you gotta keep Gamma in mind for the rest of your turn. So the proper play is probably to go Red Rose and Token into Shooting Riser. And then you want to do the Red Rose as Chaining 2, because here if Red Rose gets Ashed or Gamma, you can still play and it still gets dump Snow. So we would dump the Snow with the Shooting Riser. And we would summon Rock Rose. We won't search Bezo because we drew it. So, okay, we have it here. And then here we go into the usual Pisty Striker line. So we'd go this into Striker Dragon activates, gets Boot Sector. And then Riser gets to Pisty. We would go Pisty effect, summoning one of the dragons in the graveyard, probably the Rock Rose. And then we can go Rock Rose and Pisty into Dragon Knight Romulus. Romulus activates to get a copy of Dragon Ravine. This is where Romulus is pretty relevant because we didn't have a way to access Tracer so far, but now we do. So we start with Ravine. We Ravine, dump the Gamma, send the Absol Router, and Absol gets Tracer. This hand's kind of mad in Janib, so I think you just gotta commit to the fact that shit in Janib. You just think archery wise. We have this. We haven't normal summoned yet, have we? We normal summoned the Synchron. So if we normal summon the Synchron, we just boot here. Yeah, we just boot here. So we boot for Tracer. You choose between popping Faithful or popping Boot. Because we have Enchantress Engrave and because we have Draco back in hand, I would probably just pop the Boot. So we would pop the Boot, summon the Rocket Recharger. We'll go Tracer and Recharger into Pega Ruler. And then Ruler activates, so we mill 5, so we hit a space, a Deer Note, another space, and Nash the whiff. I mean, I get a space draw, which is not awful. And then SAWCQ, Romulus, and this go into Borderland. Cool thing we're actually going to do here, we're going to make Borderland in the main monster zone. Making Borderland in the main monster zone has a couple advantages. First, it means that our IP is co-linked. So we're gonna, sorry, the unicorn is already calling, so we draw one. It also plays around Cyber Dragon. So we know if the one Cyber Dragon player in the locals, they can't contact fuse Borderland if you make it here. So we get to this, and then we strike a dragon effect, popping itself to get the rocket recharger, and we go rocket recharger effect to summon the rocket racer. Then we can Borderland Dragon, target the rocket racer to summon the rocket recharger back. And we'll go use those two to go into Borrow Savage. Savage effect equips a Link 2, so usually the Romulus. Actually, the Hulk is technically correct, this is more attack. And then we can use the effect of Ruler, banishing the Striker Dragon, and the Light, which you have guaranteed on the Riser Dragon, to summon itself, and then you can use Space to put the Striker back for a draw, which is cool, because it means we have Striker for next turn, and a draw. So we hit a Gamma, which is dog shit. And we use the Basil Rose Shoot to summon one of the Rose Dragons back. And then you can use Rock Rose and this to make IP, which you can either make here on top or you can make it on the side. I don't know if it actually makes a difference. Let's just make it on the top for some reason. There we go. So you see, it's actually not that good of a hand. This was just out of... This is just from right plus any tuner. It doesn't have to be Rocket Synchro, any tuner really works. And you get to end on IP, Borderland Savage, and then follow up depending on ruler or whatever. We did got a ruler move as well, we just whiffed, but this is pretty cool. And it's no engrave, of course, so this is like a decent amount of interrupts. A couple things to keep in mind is that you can basically have Baron, but if you go for Baron, you're going to miss a body to do it all of this, because the Riser is a body, right? Because we used to synchro with the token instead of synchroing with the Griffin. So we're gonna miss a body. So you need to hit an extender of the ruler to end on this plus Baron instead of that plus no. So that's why I think Snow is usually better. I had another thing to talk about this hand. I'm trying to remember what it was. Yeah, I don't remember. Oh yeah, this is gonna draw one. When you co-link, you do that. Because you co-link this, and usually there's no, right? Because you would summon there's no in your opponent's turn, and then you go IP and this into Unicorn, and you Unicorn co-link to Borderland, pitching one, and that draws one. So that's pretty cool. I don't think it really usually matters, but it's cool. So yeah, I think that's mainly it. That's like 4 hands, 5 hands that we did. I'm not feeling at my best, so sorry if I didn't go into the usual depth, but I hope you guys were able to learn something from it. If there's any hands you want some clarification on, if you spot some stuff that I probably missed, feel free to comment below. Otherwise, please like, subscribe, share this video with your friends. It really helps us reaching more. A lot of people watch these videos and don't subscribe to our YouTube channel, which really hurts our reach and grow. So doing that is greatly appreciated. If you want more content like this and you want this is a lot of things that I've done like here is what I do in my Metafy sessions. So if you're interested in learning Dragon Link, for example, you can check me out on metafy.gg/GabrielNetz. I post a lot of them shit on Twitter at twitter.com/GabrielNetz. And shout out to our sponsors, MetaMats, Card Market, The Brotherhood Games, Games Apparel. We should have a podcast every Tuesday as well, so check that Tuesdays here and on Spotify. And yeah, that's mainly it. See you guys next time.